First of all, giving honor to God,
Amen.
who is my salvation.
Amen.
I, listening to the three young ladies thus far, must say that we apparently are on the right track. I've been involved with the AIDS crises since the early 80s. And that was long before it even had a name. Because of a young man who passed away from it, who happened to work with me as my valet, inspired my initiative to find out what this disease was. Marvin passed, and we thought he had cancer because it has all of the implications of what cancer does to our body. Because I have been known throughout my entire life from this big as the nosy one. My grandfather used to say, don't call her nosy, she's inquisitive. My mother said, no, she's flat out nosy. And she was right. I want to know. In 1986, I was appointed your ambassador of health for the United States during the Reagan administration. And it was during this period of time that I had the good fortune of meeting one of the researchers at CDC, Anthony Fauci. And I was inquisitive enough to inquire as to what he knew about this new disease that had just been given a name because Rock Hudson had passed from it. And he told me that, well, we're researching it. We're not quite sure what it is or why it is. We know how it is transmitted. And this is what we need to get into people's lives and ears. My mandate was self-imposed. I decided that AIDS would be what I would go after. And go after in the communities that look like me. Because we're always the last to know. I found that education was the key. So you have to know what you're fighting before you can fight it. Well, during my appointment and working with those folks in Washington, who really were not that anxious to be of service to our communities, I self-imposed the mandate of AIDS within our community and decided that I would not take full ambassadorship. And of course, President Reagan at the time wanted to know, well, why not? And said, only because I won't be able to walk into your Oval Office as I can now without being handcuffed. Handcuffed by being officially a part of your government. Right now, I am just a citizen. And I can walk in here like I did the other day with you and do this to your face. Okay? I can make my point with you as to what is absolutely necessary to have happen. I, like this wonderful young lady, took the initiative to travel the world. And Africa being where we were told it stemmed from was where I wanted to go to find out what had been done to prevent this particular disease. And I cannot tell you the anguish that I still feel from what I saw while there. Going to hospitals in Ghana, which practically did not exist. I finally went to a brand new establishment where the World Health Organization's office looked directly onto it. They did not have cotton. They had no water. They had no electricity to run those machines. The hospital were full of AIDS patients. I refuse to call them victims their patients, they're human beings. But in so, they were in beds, no, they were in cots, separated by screens. And when you don't have a cotton ball to wipe with, or a tissue to wipe with, something is wrong with that picture. Especially when the kind of aid that goes through Africa from the United States into our ambassadors over there. Something has got to be done. And I am one that knows how to fight. Yeah, I am from the hood too. Okay? So that's all a part of my DNA. And I also knew that in order for anything to happen within our communities, somebody had to say something. Well, it seems like I'm always the one that has to say something. And I don't mind saying it. I really don't. That's because I care. I care about each and every one of you. When I was finally at the point where it was becoming more than I could bear, when you stop to think, well, when I stopped to think, I should say, I held babies that died in my arms. I watched mothers and fathers die. It's not an easy thing to do or see. I traveled the entire world working with researchers and scientists and doctors to get their knowledge so that I could bring it back to us. And when I did, the problem being nobody really wanted to hear it. You know, my grandpa, who was a minister, always said to me, baby girl, that's what he called me, we are here to be of service to each other, to help those who are not able to help themselves. And that's ingrained in me. If I see somebody stumble, I'm gonna stop and help them pick them up, okay? I brought drugs back into the country from Sweden, from Russia, from Germany, from researchers who have been doing these kinds of researching, and drugs that were working, apparently, in those parts of our world. And it was a funny story. I came back with a box about that big, full of vials. And coming through customs, he asked what was in the box. And I said, drugs. He said, what? I said, drugs. He said, what kind of drugs? I said, AIDS prevention drugs. He said, oh, go. He didn't even want to look at what I had. That's how serious and unfortunate non-educational materials were given to people so that they would know what they were combating. I applaud you three thus far, and I know I'm going to feel the same way about you too, that we're in a fight that is massive. It doesn't stop here. It is a world epidemic. That's right. And we have to care enough about each other to want to do something about it. We don't want you to walk out of here and saying, oh, well, I heard this and I heard that, I heard it. I want you to hear it. Right. Hear it, feel it, wear it, and spread it. This is very, very important, that it leaves this room and is told. If you tell one friend, have that friend tell another friend, and another friend, and another friend. Before you know it, we're all going to know about it and know what to do about it. Understand that this is not something that's going to go away tomorrow. And that's the unfortunate part. But there is a light at the end of this tunnel.
Yes, right.
It's something that we can all see and become a part of. So please, take heed to what has been said, what I have said, what you will hear after I, and know that we care enough about you to say these things to you. Not at you, to you. Okay?
Let's thank Ms. Dionne Warwick again. Ms. Warwick, your quiet dignity is unparalleled, and we just thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you.